It's the college football show presented by AT&T 5G, and this is absolute greatness. Coco Gadget arms getting up there. It's all the gloves, Harry Douglas. It's all about these tacky gloves you players wear. We're supposed to give credit to.
Whatever, Fitz. That's just an amazing play. I'm not listening to this nonsense today. Not at all.
It's the college football show presented by AT&T 5G. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. For the next hour, we're going to get you caught up on the upsets, the chaos, the close calls, everything. It should be noted both of us have red in the bottom of our shoes, Harry.
Yes, we do. It might be a different red, but we both have red.
Very different red. And also, for the second straight week, my feet don't touch the ground, and yours do.
That's what 6'1" gets you, buddy.
So 6'1". They listed him as 6'1". The chances that Harry Douglas is 6'1", only if I'm like, I don't know, does that make me?
Well, don't get mad at me because everyone can't be 5'5" with brown eyes, 5'6", 5'7".
Wow, I am 5'9.5".
Oh, that's what you're listed at.
I'm 5'9.5". A greatness.
That's what you're listed at, Fitz.
Wow. We're gonna have a brawl before this show even gets started. All right, let's get you caught up on huge action. We've got upsets going on right now. The corn battle, 4th and 13th. No score on this. Iowa badly missing. They shucked it. See, all the corn punts are coming. Brock Purdy picking it up here to Xavier Hutchinson, but it's short. Intercepted. Hanskins later in the second ago. Iowa. I want that touchdown now. Get that touchdown. Tyler Goodson runs it in from the 4. Iowa up 7-3. Now we pick it up. Spencer Petras finds Charlie Jones. One of the prettier plays we've seen all day. Charlie Jones with a beautiful catch. They're up 14-3. And then Breece Hall says, I want a whole pass. No, we're not to Breece Hall yet. No, we are to Breece Hall. I can't tell. These black jerseys are so throwing me off with Iowa State. Iowa up right now. 56 left in the third. This is important, Harry, for one major reason. My dog Annabelle picked Iowa today. She's undefeated, so I feel pretty good right now. She picked Iowa to win this game. Rivalry matchup at Iowa State. Obviously a lot to play for everybody here, but especially for the Big Ten. We'll get into why as we go on, but this is a big matchup for both teams.
Well, and I think in this ball game, the stars for Iowa State have not been stars. Brock Purdy, he has an interception. Later in this game, Breece Hall had a fumble that led to points. Both of those turnovers led to points for Iowa. And I'll tell you, Iowa is just a sound football team. They might not be the fastest, they might not be the biggest, but those guys are going to do what they're coached to do. They're not going to beat themselves, and that's what you're seeing right now in this ballgame.
Well, and there's just a level of back and forth. Like, there wasn't a lot of offense early in this game, but it was a very tough-fought game early on, and I think we just sort of forget sometimes, not just the rivalry aspect, not just game day being there, but you add all of those things up with a physical matchup anyway. I mean, this game has sort of been what we expected. It's been back and forth. 24-10 doesn't give it the sense of how close most of the matches felt. And right now, Iowa State with the ball, again, they're down 24-10. There's going to be some sense of urgency, but there's plenty of time left in this football.
And I'm worried about Iowa State because last week they didn't look sharp going against Northern Iowa. And this week, again, against another Iowa opponent, they aren't looking sharp as well. So I'm worried about them offensively because the guys that they have and the guys that they're counting on aren't making the plays for them to be successful so far this year.
Well, all eyes are on Iowa partially because it was an interesting day. I'm using interesting kind of like, you know, when your significant other asks you how you like their dress and you say interesting because you don't want to say eh. It's an interesting day for the Big Ten.
I let my wife know.
Wow. That's
she respects the honesty.
I respect what we saw today between Oregon and Ohio State. This was chippy early on. And it was noticeable. Now, C.J. Verdell runs it into the end zone for a touchdown here. I want to show everybody this play again, though, Harry, because you know this play well.
Yes, I ran this play in college. We call it East and West Georgia. The linebacker has his running back man-to-man. The single receiver job is to go block the linebacker that is supposed to be covering the running back. Next thing you know, touchdown C.J. Verdell.
It's well executed here, which is going to be a theme. Now we pick it up. Ohio State looking to answer back in the end zone, but there's a significant portion here too as you see the DBs looking down.
Coach, leave them alone. Just make a call and let the guys play what they play. You can't have a touchdown being scored on you because guys are looking at their wristbands. Come on.
7-7, we pick it up here. Oregon, 5 left in the second. C.J. Verdell, it feels like we've seen this again.
This play looks very familiar. The same play, down, and around. Next thing you know, it's another 7, well, I'll say 6 points without the extra points for C.J. Verdell.
Now, this run was a little different because nobody was home as Verdell goes 70 yards. Swiggity swooty, he's going for that booty.
He's gone, and I got to give credit to Mario Cristobal and this offensive line. They were look, he goes untouched. He goes untouched. They opened up holes for these running backs all day long to run. They won the line of scrimmage. They were the tougher team. They were the most physical, and that's why they got the victory today.
But don't count Ohio State out. They want to get back in this game. Flash forward to the third. Look at this pretty little 26-yard touchdown. Ohio State cuts the lead to 21-14.
Seam ball, one of my favorite routes, right on the money.
It's just beautifully thrown here. And then we flash forward. Oregon with a 7-point lead, 10-15 to go in the fourth. Anthony Brown says, hey, I can get in on the fun touchdown passes too. Really well-designed play.
Man, how good has Anthony Brown been for this team this year so far?
Now we've got C.J. Stroud trying to find a way to answer back. Get another touchdown for Ohio State. They cut the lead to 35-28. So you think there's a chance going into this because it's 35-28 late. Now they're trying to make something happen. Back-to-back drives where they found themselves in third and long, trying to figure it out with time running out. This time, he flicks the ball just a little bit too far. McKinley gets the big pick. That seals the game.
When you have an opportunity to make the play to win the game, you have to make it. McKinley did that. I've seen on numerous of occasions those guys drop that interception and the opponent goes down and score a touchdown to win the game or tie the game. Shout out to McKinley for right there making that game-sealing play.
Shout out to Oregon for handling the moment. They go into Columbus, and they come away with a 35-28 win over the number 3 ranked Ohio State. So, obviously, and look, C.J. Stroud, you see the numbers there, 35 of 54 for 484, 3 touchdowns and a pick. But to your point, Harry, Oregon made the plays on the defensive side of the ball when they needed to.
They did, and Ohio State had 3 guys go over 100 yards receiving, but that's not what I was looking at in the game today. I looked at how that secondary, when the opportunity presented itself, they made the plays in the secondary. Not just them, it was the defensive line, it was the linebackers flying around. They were the most physical team offensively, defensively, and on special teams.
Well, and when are we going to change our conversation a little with the Pac-12? Let's give them some credit. Like, this is not your grandpa's Pac-12.
Put some respect on the Pac-12.
I mean, seriously, like, all they've done is gone out and out-physicaled Ohio State in Columbus. Like,
Put some respect on the Pac-12.
What did UCLA do to LSU? Put
some respect on the Pac-12.
Look at that. It's a different brand of football. It's a physical brand of football. We've spent so much time this year talking about which conferences stink.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to actually step back and say, hey, Pac-12 looks better than we thought they were going to be.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is making noise, and they're actually going to get the respect that they deserve. It's been a long time, though. I can't say it's been a long time, but Oregon, man, that is a statement win. Mario Cristobal, a guy who played at the University of Miami, who has that little swag in him. So Mario Cristobal knows about winning, and he knows about swag. He knows about toughness. That's why his team went out today. And I'm pretty sure those guys had a chip on their shoulder because last year, Ohio State was supposed to go to Eugene and play the Ducks, and that didn't happen. So now they went inside of Ohio State and beat them in their home stadium. Those guys played with a chip on their shoulder without 5 key defensive players.
He just did all of that, by the way, while I tried to distract him with my swaggy dance. Nothing for the swag that I'm
locked in.
Oh, that's true. And you're right. Make a great point about the missing starters on the defensive side of the ball for Oregon. All right. In the meantime, let's go to the top of the ranks. Alabama, Nick Saban. He's got everybody ready for this one. You think Alabama needs to score with their offense? Nah. Why do it that way when you can have some fun doing it this way with the block punt? Chris Braswell blocks the punt. McClellan takes it for 33 yards and a touchdown. Alabama with the early lead, 7-0 in the crowd. Unusually hyped for a game against Mercer. So let's go to the start of the second quarter. Bryce Young throws to him, and he's got wide open spaces for Slade Bolden.
Flight.
I mean, Slade Bolden, by the way, sneaky badass name for a wide receiver.
And he took flight.
I mean, I'm just saying. All right, we'll pick this thing up. 10:52 in the third. Bryce Young steps back. He's like, you know what I want to do? I want to be on Chopped because I'm ready to cook.
Another one of those guys, Jamison Williams. Just plug and play.
All of a sudden, we find it 37-0. We get to 5:50 in the third. Bryce Young cannot be stopped. Says Gordon Ramsay, I'm the chef here. I'm going to make all sorts of cooking analogies. I don't know why. Maybe I'm hungry. Alabama steamrolls Mercer 48-14. away from this game, not much that we didn't expect, but on a day where we did see some big names struggle against some smaller names, Alabama gets a predictable win.
Well, and one thing about Alabama is that they can beat you on offense, they can beat you on defense, and they can beat you on special teams. They can beat you in all three phases of the game. But I love the way Nick Saban went at his team this week, right? When he thought his guys weren't focused, and he didn't want those guys to get complacent. He didn't want those guys to not respect their opponent. So he got on them. They came out here today and responded. That's the MO, the mindset of a great coach, the greatest college football coach of all time, Nick Saban. That's why this program is in the hunt year in and year out.
One thing I will always do, and this is like my motto, my creed, my pillar, my hill to die on in 2021. I'm going to admit when I've seen something and been really wrong about it. I said before the season started I could find 2 losses on Alabama's schedule. My logic being Texas A&M going to be very good. Bryce Young having a quarterback that you haven't seen anything from. And then you got the SEC championship game, gives you an opportunity. So I'm going to just willingly fall on the sword and say everything I thought might be a problem for Alabama has not been a problem. And everybody else in college football has had problems everywhere. I can't have hot takes if I won't admit when I'm wrong on it.
Okay,
so
you just stop right there. At some point, we all come to our senses. You have come to your senses. Because Alabama, in my eyes, it's Alabama and it's everybody else in the field. Alabama is here. Everybody else is here. I'll tell you right now, if Alabama was to play Clemson, if Alabama was to play Georgia, I think they'd beat both of those teams by 20 points right now.
And this is always the way I ask people, too, that want to tweet you right now, which, by the way, you can tweet both of us anytime during the show. Whenever somebody comes at you with the hate on it, my response is the same. If you had to wager your house right now, your house or your parents' house, you have to wager something of tremendous consequence to you in life on Alabama versus any of those teams on a neutral field, who you taking? And I think all of us know the answer. It's just, I hope that we get something unpredictable because the rest of college football looks very unpredictable right now, but Alabama looks predictably good. Now, one of the teams that may be able to give them some fight is Georgia. Georgia had the opportunity to take on UAB, and they did it with Stetson Bennett at quarterback. JT Daniels sitting out with an injury.
Who said he couldn't throw the football?
73-yard tutty. Georgia goes up 7-0 early. And I just used tutty. I'm not proud of it. I always said I wouldn't do that. UAB down 14-0. Tyler Johnson intercepted by Lewis Seen because Lewis done seen that ball coming right over the middle. Said, I'm taking it.
There goes that defense again.
Georgia gets the possession of the ball. Bennett says, you know what? I want another touchdown.
Who said he couldn't throw the football?
They really need to change the way stats are kept, though. Like, most of that should go to the wide receiver. 89-yard touchdown. Georgia goes up 21-0. Second quarter, same score. Stetson Bennett's going to sit back and say, you know what? Not only do I have a badass name, I got a badass arm. Who said he? Wait, no, that's your job.
Who said he couldn't throw that football? Right on the money, right in the bread basket. Touchdown, UGA.
Right on the money. I'm singing all sorts of country music songs today. Georgia goes up 28-0 over UAB. Realistically, we got what we expected, 56-7 in a game that was really about UAB getting their program paid and not putting up a fight. But, Harry, you got to look at this and say, what does Georgia need to do? We just said if you had to bet your house, it's going to be Bama. So what do you need to see from Georgia to change your mind?
Now, look, I understand that UGA went out and they went bombs over Baghdad today, right? But that was against UAB, right? Against last week against Clemson. It's like when you get your learner's license, right? I thought that's the way they approached the game last week against Clemson with JT Daniels. Hey, an adult has to be in the car with you. We're going to monitor things. We're not going to let you lose the football game. But to compete with an Alabama, he has to parallel park on his own. He has to get that driver's license. You have to hand over the keys to JT Daniels so they can go downfield and make these plays when they get a chance to meet an Alabama or meet a top 5 opponent down the line. So I think that's the next step for Georgia. Can they make these deep plays? Can they take these shots when you have a top 5 defense, a top 5 opponent that you're playing against, and not a UAB?
That, to your point, Harry, I think is why him being out today was significant, not because of the outcome of the game. We all knew Georgia was going to beat UAB. That wasn't in question.
And they have time. They have time to do it. They have time to do it.
But every opportunity against live reps to get yourself better and more comfortable with everybody and get timing, I think, is of some significance.
Correct.
So, I look at it and say, well, it's great for Stetson Bennett, and it's nice for him to get that shine and that opportunity to go out and remind people that he can play and feel really good. It's great for his family. for the program, I would have loved to have seen JT Daniels out there at least getting live reps.
And that's why I say they have an opportunity. They have time to do it. It's early in the season. They don't play another ranked opponent until they play Florida, who really doesn't look that good either after watching them last weekend today. But when you get to
Hey, we're getting to Florida. You're not allowed to get to Florida.
Oh, no, I just had to throw that nugget in there because they didn't look good at all. But when down the line, when they get to the SEC championship game, which is looking like they're going to be in that game to face Alabama, I'm going to go ahead and predict that right now. They have to be able to take those shots. They have to be able to evolve as an offense to be able to have an opportunity to beat an Alabama Crimson Tide team.
Quick score update. Iowa has scored on Iowa State, so we now have 27-10 currently. We'll keep you updated on that as it continues to develop. In the meantime, Stetson Bennett playing was significant because you need some quarterback depth. That was also a reminder in another big matchup today. Texas A&M taking on Colorado. 11 left in the first. Haynes King, the Texas A&M quarterback, is taken down at the end of this rushing play. Now watch the replay because this was it for him for the day. He went out with a leg injury.
That didn't look good at all.
No, as he goes down here, which brings in sophomore Zach Calzada to replace him. And this is unfortunate. A&M never really got in sync throughout this. 2:30 left in the first. Colorado, Jarek Broussard with the 2-yard touchdown. Colorado goes up 7-0 in this one. Take a look at the replay. He's getting over there. He got over the line, no question. Made it look easy. Now we're down, A&M down 7-3. We get the 18-yard touchdown from the sophomore backup. Texas A&M goes up 10-7. Again, nothing looked easy. That was with 2:40 to go, and that's how this game ends. Texas A&M sneaks out of Colorado with a 10-7 win in that game. And look, once you lose your starting quarterback, everything sort of goes up in the air. But Isaiah Spiller, as you can see statistically, not a great day. Texas A&M just never had any sort of rhythm.
Well, I thought Colorado stacked the box against Isaiah Spiller to make sure he didn't beat them one-on-one. One of the things I thought that Texas A&M could have did a better job of is getting the ball to Isaiah Spiller and Smith in space, getting with some width, getting out wide, letting these guys make plays and just putting the footballs in their hands. But they had opportunities. The tight end, Watermeyer, I think he dropped about 2 or 3 balls today. In games like this, you have to make those plays so you can give your offense and your team a chance. Because usually when you let sneaky opponents like this creep in, usually you lose those football games. And you lost your starting quarterback. So luckily for Texas A&M, who has big dreams this year to try to make the college football playoffs after being left out over Notre Dame last year, luckily they snuck out with this win today.
I think there's a little pressure on A&M in general this year to get it done, because how many years in a row are we going to say this? And certainly they're paying a coaching staff for something other than finishing in second in the West. But the other part of it is we got to see where the Haynes King injury goes. That's going to be such a big part of the season for A&M and how it moves forward. Hopefully for teams like this, you take this sort of opportunity as a learning spot. You see the Calzada 18 of 38 for 183 and a touchdown. Not a great outing, an okay outing. Hopefully either he gets more comfortable or they're able to get that position solidified.
Well, if Haynes King can't come back and play, right, then it goes on the coaching staff. Right, it's those guys' job to design plays and make this backup quarterback feel comfortable. That's why you get paid the big bucks now. Like, we understand that you have star players and you have guys who can make plays, but when your starting quarterback goes down, that's when your money, that's when your salary kicks in. You have to design these plays. You have to make that quarterback feel comfortable and get the ball to your playmakers so it can make his job easier.
Yeah, I know a whole group of fans today that weren't comfortable at all, and that's Notre Dame fans. Notre Dame, if you didn't see it, was in for the fight of their life against Toledo for once in my life. That's not a misspeak. That's 32-29. That's 32-29 because Notre Dame scored the game-winning touchdown with about a minute to go in the game. Toledo scored a touchdown that put them up with a minute 40. Jack Cohn was able to drive the team down. Really gutty performance for him, especially at the end. It looked like he had somebody from the training staff pop his finger back in right before he threw what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown. This was a Toledo team that was in for every ounce of fight, and it was incredible to watch. Notre Dame did not look capable in this football game. That was a stunning moment to me.
Well, I think it was the self-inflicted wounds, right? You had a fumble by one of the running backs. You had a pick six by Jack Cohen. You can't win football games like that. We just talked about the pick sixes that we had so far in the first 2 weeks of college football, right? But for this Notre Dame team, this is what I need. I want to know who was the player or the players on offense who are going to step up and say, okay, you guys can count on me. I'm going to make this play at any point of the game. You can count on me 100%. Lean on my back. I want to know who is going to be that guy for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish when it comes to the offense.
I felt, to his credit, I felt like Cone had that swagger in the last drive. I will give him a bunch of credit for that. But I think the entire college football community, not fans, but teams, were rooting for this outcome because you got to look at Virginia Tech, by the way, who's going to get to play Notre Dame in a few weeks. Cincinnati, we keep trying to pigeonhole into the playoffs somehow. Well, they've got Notre Dame on the schedule. So many teams are looking for a signature win over Notre Dame. Notre Dame better play well in order for everybody else to get that. So it's that math that we do in college football where if Notre Dame loses to Toledo, then all of a sudden what you hoped would be a benchmark win goes away. So I think there's a collective sigh of relief from programs, not fans, but programs around the country that are looking at that saying, thank God.
I agree with you 100% because, like you said, if Notre Dame loses to Toledo, you can count a lot of things out, especially if you're a opportunity to try to make the playoffs. Who has to go undefeated in my eyes to even make the playoffs?
Well, it's my favorite time of the show because we get to have a big fat cow on the screen come up. It's Holy Cow time. Are you ready for this? This is where we show you some of the best of the day. And we give it a score, a ranking, as it were. And we start, and this, by the way, there's so much to take away from this picture, Harry. Did somebody lay on the ground to take the picture? Like, is it a stock photo that already existed? How did the cow feel about it? I have to convince Annabelle to post. Did somebody talk to the cow?
Move.
Okay, move on is what he's telling me to do. Let's get to the first play. ECU wide receiver Tyler Snead completes the flea flicker to Hatfield, 75-yard touchdown. Harry Douglas, give it a score.
I'm sorry, but I have to give this a 98.
What?
Why? Because that's a running back trying to throw that football. That's a running back. Watch this deal. Getting hit. It's a 98, Fitz. I don't care what you think. It gets a 98 in my book.
Just when I thought you couldn't grade things any worse, I wish you'd been my math teacher in high school. All right, let's go to the next play for me. I'm going to give you a little bit of love for Northern Illinois and really one of the best quarterback names in the country. Rocky Lombardi, former Sparty, throws a dime to Trayvon Rudolph. You could not have placed that ball any better.
Wait.
Good Lord. I'm not usually an easy grader. This one gets, because I mean, you talk about placement. Was that when you were our quarterback? Ooh, I'm just saying. All right, let's keep it in the Michigan State concept. We showed this at the beginning of the show. You got to see it again. I mean, Xavier Henderson, I know this is against Youngstown State, but my God, great googly moogly, Harry. Like, what are you thinking when you see somebody go up like that?
I'm going to give this score a 99 because this is not up. Nope. Number one, this is a DB. Usually DBs can't catch. Number two, this is a one-handed catch. Number three, you seen the hang time in the air by the defender? 99. I don't care what's on your mind.
Yeah, well, I will tell you. I don't know if you know that, but now we give the cow two. Like, so maybe next time you give that the extra points, we can get a double.
Move.
Oh, my God. Now I'm going to move on to the next play. We got a little block field goal. Let's get some special teams love here. Alabama State 20-yard field goal attempt. Colby Wooden deflects the kick. Nehemiah Pritchett recovers the ball, runs it back for an 80-yard touchdown. I love special teams, right? And I love anytime we see a block kick, and I love a guy that's just running out there. But let's be honest, the ball sort of fell to him, right? I sort of expect these things when you're Auburn taking on Alabama State. Plus, air guitar instead of air fiddle, it gets a 74. You air guitar things, you only get a 74.
I agree with that score.
All right, look at that.
You're supposed to be dominating Alabama State.
All right, look at Harry appreciating the fact one of us is an easy judger. Let's see how this next one goes, because I was with you in the room when we watched it. 4th and 1. Noah Sewell, one-on-one.
Put your big boy pads on.
Not up in here. Oh, man, just an absolute juggernaut of a stop.
Put your big mano y mano. Me and you in the foxhole. Who gonna win one-on-one? Is it gonna be me? Is it gonna be you? I'm gonna tell you right now, it was Oregon. It was Noah Sewell. That's who it was. So I gave this score a 90, Fitz.
Yeah, I was with Harry when it saw go down. And
this is a top game.
I mean, you got some reaction out of that.
That man told a running back, I'm here, and I'm here to stay.
What would you say, family friendly, because we work for Mickey Mouse, what would you say to the running back if you had just made that tackle? Harry Douglas playing on the field.
I'm going to tell you right now. But beep, 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 beep.
All right, that's the Mickey Mouse version. All right, we got one more play to score, and let's get a little Florida love here. Quarterback Anthony Richardson, not throwing for it, no.
Oh.
Lowers the shoulder.
Oh.
He's going. He will not be stopped. Got a little turbo button there at the end for the touchdown. That's an 80-yard rushing touchdown.
Did he pull his hammy?
No, look at this. He did.
I think he
did actually at the end. Pull the hammy. Still gets the touchdown, though. I am going to give, yeah, you're right. He does come up limp there at the end.
Man.
I'm giving this an 80. 1 point for every yard. That was my logic on it. Like, you run 80 yards, you get 80 points. Coming from a guy that if I had to run 8 yards, I'd probably would be winded at the end of it, but I feel pretty good about the 80 score.
I like the score, too.
All right,
I agree with you.
All right, that's some holy cow love. Let's get back to the highlights and all the action going on today. We have Clemson taking on South Carolina State, and DJ Uiagalelei saying, you know what? You said I couldn't run, I can run. Thank you very much. I shall run for the touchdown, and you shall rejoice. 7-0. Will Shipley says, well, that looks fun. I want to run for a touchdown, too. Cameraman couldn't even follow him there. 14-0 for Clemson. They just keep running and running. Kobe Pace runs up the middle. Obviously, it was a theme at practice this week that they needed to remind everybody they can run. You got DJ. I'll wait, and Justin Ross will be open.
There he is.
Clemson goes up 28-0. Not a surprise here. South Carolina State gets the big paycheck, and that's about all out of it. It's 49-3 right now. You can check that game out on the ACC network. Really just to hear our good buddy Jordan Cornett, who's going to join us later, chime in every once in a while in the game. That if for no reason other than that. DJ, efficient day. Will Shipley, efficient day. That's all you can say about Clemson. 49-3, they're rolling. So what does this Clemson team have to do in your mind to sort of get rid of all the gross feels that we have after?
Important for me for Clemson is, can they come out here and execute offensively? Can this offensive line block? And I know it's South Carolina State, but I don't care about that. Can this team regain their confidence? And they did that today. They actually rushed the football very well, which was non-existent last week against the Georgia Bulldogs. This offensive line couldn't block a soul if their life was dependent on it last week. But I think this is a good second game for this team to be able to gain that confidence back. So DJ, Big Cinco, this offensive line, these receivers, these running backs can get on the same page. So
margin of victory matters. I don't care what anybody. Dallas, I've gone through the process of voting on the playoffs in a mock way that we do. Margin of victory matters at this point. Metrics matter. If you are Clemson, you need to not just beat everybody for the rest of the year. You need to beat the you-know-what out of everybody. And in the process, you need to put up such impressive metrics that the whole world cannot deny your greatness. Every single week is going to matter. They cannot afford to have any even attempts at hiccups. They've got to go out and not just win. They've got to dominate, and they've got to dominate not just on the scoreboard, but also by the eye test. So big step for them in attempting to do that first. Now, let's move on to the next game. How do you know Cincinnati is a big-time program at this point? Because they got a cupcake game, week 2. Murray State, Cincinnati. Preston Rice for 12 yards in the first down. Early on in this one, he's just having a little bit of fun. Same possession, he's doing it all. Goes in for a 2-yard touchdown. That's how you know Cincinnati's a big-time program. They're losing to their cupcake early on, but that is just motivation, straight 80s Hulk Hogan style. They'll get that arm in the air. Desmond Ridder throws a 2-yard touchdown to Noah Davis, 7-7. All of a sudden, things are starting to feel like Cincinnati's waking up. Maybe that's just the beginning. And, 42-7 is the score. That's final score. 42-7, Cincinnati absolutely dominates Murray State. Good work by them. No surprise here, right? Like, there's nothing to take
Well, I think for Cincinnati, the key, I know Desmond Ridder is their leader, their quarterback, but Jerome Ford is the bell cow, that running back. You see the guy, he had an awesome day. He had a good week last week as well. But this Cincinnati team, they can't afford to have close wins. I think in my eyes, they have to blow teams out, win decisively, win convincingly to show this committee that they belong. Well,
speaking of they belong, we now know that they belong in the Big 12, as we know that Cincinnati, UCF,
major move.
Missing one, and BYU are headed to the Big 12.
Yep.
Look, as you see that graphic there on the screen, let me say this loudly. Memphis got screwed. And, you know, I'm just being honest with you here. Memphis has spent so much time, energy, money rebuilding a college football program that was almost shut down. And they've put consistent, like, consistently put players into the pros over the last few years. They've had multiple head coaches, and it hasn't prevented them from continuing to be a good program. Memphis has done everything the right way, and now they're stuck in an AAC that's about to become even more irrelevant. If I am any other conference, frankly, across college football, I'm looking at Memphis as a program, and we've kicked Vandy out of the SEC and put Memphis in instead. My God.
If you don't stop, Vandy is probably the most powerhouse baseball in college.
Oh, baseball. All 7 fans. Yeah, go ahead. You know what? Just when you thought
do you see the guys that they have in the major league?
You know why I can say whatever I want about
I agree
Vandy
with you when it comes to football.
I lived in Nashville for 20 years. I can say almost anything about Vandy football because I know there's like 6 fans that might tweet me when I say it. There's even less active fans when it comes. I mean, are we really going to compare baseball to what Memphis basketball is doing?
No,
Memphis belongs in a power conference.
Penny basketball team, and he's recruiting well. I think he has one of the top recruiting classes coming in this year, and I'm looking forward to actually watching them play.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a Vandy team that instead of putting a helmet behind me, actually puts a helmet on East Tennessee State.
They had a bad loss last week.
East Tennessee State! They didn't just lose, they got dominated. All right, let's move on before I get more upset. We got Penn State taking on the David Lettermans, also known as Ball State, as we've got, in case you didn't know, Letterman went to Ball State. There's your fun fact of the day. And we picked this one up. Noah Cain finds the end zone, 5-yard rushing touchdown. Not to be outdone, Sean Clifford says, Clifford the dog getting into the end zone. Penn State goes up 14-0. I've got all sorts of cartoon analogies here. I'm not going to stop. Clifford now dropping back, finds Dotson in the open. It's one of his favorite easy targets right there.
Like Keyshawn Johnson. Get him the football.
Oh, we brought Key's name into this. 24-3. Now we're in the third. Drew Plitt throws a pick.
Ooh, what a play.
Oh, that's a nice little tutty there.
Ball security, son. Tuck that ball away for somebody to come strip you.
Penn State goes on to win this one 44-13. 44-13. Again, all you can look for in some of these games is efficiency. That's what we got. This game, we got Florida taking on South Florida. We picked this one up 7-3, as you can see right there. Anthony Richardson fakes the handoff, throws deep. Copeland for the 75-yard touchdown. Gators go up 14-3.
We have a quarterback issue at the University of Florida.
Well, I mean, that's one of the 2 quarterbacks that played. We pick it up here. Emory Jones now in for quarterback. He finds Henderson for a 35-yard touchdown. I mean, maybe it's not an issue if they're all good.
We have a quarterback issue at the University of Florida.
Richardson back in, and quarterback fakes the run. Finds Copeland again, this time for 41 yards.
We have a quarterback issue.
Jones back in. On the option, takes it 33 yards to the house.
And the issue has just got thicker and thicker.
Well, and of course, we can't show you this without showing you the one we showed a minute ago. 80 yards. Just rumbling, stumbling, bubbling. I'll say it again because it's been a few minutes. Swiggity swooty.
Rumble, young man, rumble.
Oh, look at that. Comes up a little bit at the end.
I'll be holding your hammy, though.
But we get a big win as expected for Florida. But significant, as you pointed out, 42-20 is the final score in this one. And frankly, we've got 2 quarterbacks that do different things. Florida's going to need to figure out exactly what they're doing because their next opponent. Let's take a look at the quarterbacks today so we can compare them. Emory Jones obviously throwing the ball more, 14-22 for 155. Of course, it only took Anthony Richardson 3 completions to hit 152. So obviously they gave Emory more throws, but what's your assessment here, Harry?
Well, I'll tell you this. Emory Jones didn't look good last week. He had those interceptions. He has interceptions again this week. Anthony Richardson comes in, makes plays. He's efficient. Now, there's a little buzz down there that he needs to learn the playbook a little bit better, but you're playing Alabama next week. In my eyes, if his hamstring is not pulled and he can go, I'm going with Anthony Richardson. I think he gives me the best chance to win.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see if they can figure out any way to slow down Bama. I mean, because realistically,
do what?
Yeah.
Have you seen Florida's defense the last few years? Who have they slowed down?
Yeah, well, and there were times today where it felt like Florida's defense could have played a little better too. So.
Well, and South Florida actually missed some things offensively. If it wasn't for that, this game would have been even closer.
Yeah, well, that's the nightmare scenario for Florida. In the meantime, no nightmare scenario for Virginia Tech. They're taking on MTSU.
Keep hope alive for the ACC. Keep hope alive.
Braxton Burmeister finds Tavion Robinson here for a 6-yard touchdown. Tech goes up 7-0 early. It was going to be interesting to see how they played in a game that didn't have as much on the line as last week. No issues. Holston makes a defender miss here, goes 29 yards for a touchdown. Tech up 21-7 at that point. We'll flash forward later in the third. Blackshear runs to the goal line, powers in, says, "You cannot stop me. You can only try and contain me, and even that is futile at best." 35-14, Florida State thumps Middle Tennessee. Sorry, Virginia Tech. I don't know why I said. Sorry. The one time I've got it right in front of me on the screen, and I just decide I'm going to insert a new school name. That's what we do on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G.
But I tell you, for Virginia Tech, I love the physicality that they're playing with. Defensively, man, Jermaine Waller had another interception today, one of the better secondaries, I think, in the ACC. But Virginia Tech is the team that I feel like right now, them and NC State, that can keep hope alive in the ACC for Clemson to actually have a say-so at the end of the season.
So, Harry, are you a big Star Wars fan?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so just sit this one out.
Not at all.
Let me do the heavy lifting for once. There's a scene in A New Hope, that would be the original Star Wars that came out when I was a kid, where Princess Leia looks, there's a little video of Princess Leia that plays out of R2-D2, and she says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." She's begging Obi-Wan to come out and help, right? That's what the entire ACC is saying to Virginia Tech at this point. Help us, Virginia Tech. You're our only hope. There's got to be somebody else. There's got to be an other than with the Clemson situation that's happening. And, you know, we mentioned earlier, I think Virginia Tech's doing cartwheels right now that Notre Dame managed to win today, right? You've got to look at Virginia Tech and say, okay, where is the opportunity? And the opportunity for the ACC right now, in my mind, is as bad as the conversation was a week ago. Let's be equally harsh now on the Big Ten, which looks like it doesn't have the dominance that some people thought they might have. Let's be equally harsh across the college football landscape other than to the Pac-12 and say, hey, maybe we're looking at a year where a Virginia Tech being pretty darn good could be enough to give the ACC some hope.
I agree with you 100%. And
that was the
Virginia Tech right now, the first 2 weeks, they look good. I want to see them a little bit more. I think Boston College has a chance to make some noise as well as NC State. They have a big game tonight against Mississippi State. So that's another ACC-SEC matchup, right? Pittsburgh got to win today against Tennessee. So you need all these teams to continue to win so your conference can look good and these teams can be ranked. So when Clemson plays them, it looks better on their schedule.
You know who always looks good? And I mean always looks good?
Who is that?
The one, the only Jordan Cornett. You can check him out on the ACC Network. He's doing work today, by the way.
Good to have you, my man.
Even if you're just watching the ACC Network and you're thinking, what's that sensual voice that I hear giving me updates? That's Jordan Cornett, and he joins us right now. Jordan, first and foremost, when's the last time somebody called your voice sensual?
It's been a while. My wife doesn't give me any compliments, Fitzy, as you and Harry well know, so I appreciate any love I can get. My love language is it positive affirmation, reaffirmation, whatever it is. That's the way to my heart, my friend, so I appreciate it.
And speaking of your amazing one, do you want to get, that was a shameless plug. Do you have any, is there any ammunition I can, is there something I can say that will really tick her off?
I'm going to give you some advice, Fitzy. Don't talk, just listen.
That's
and when
fair.
she makes a point, you're absolutely right.
So let's get to Notre Dame. Obviously, I was with you. Shameless, peel back the fourth wall. I was with you in the room as North Dakota, as Notre Dame was trying to figure out a way to beat Toledo. And it was stressful. So now that you've had a minute to let it digest, what's your takeaway from this game?
This Notre Dame team, it was been playing down to the competition, you could argue, maybe, but I think that's a bailout. This Notre Dame team's been reckless with the football, 3 turnovers in this game that ultimately cost them. They gave up some big close ones. Jack Cohn considers show real grit. I mean, this is a guy that came out of Florida State and threw that thing all over the yard, was a big-time playmaker, showed he's more than a game manager. And then in this one, looked like he dislocated a finger on his throwing hand in that final drive. And they say don't give Tom Brady 90 seconds. Maybe don't give Jack Cohn 90 seconds in a game. He looked really comfortable there. This defense needs to be better. Their offensive line is a work in progress. Jack Cohn's still trying to discover who his targets are, but turnovers clearly the miscue in this one a few times over.
Jordan is lightly throwing me under the bus, by the way, because I said, you can't give Jack Cohn that amount of time, and then it turned out to work out, Harry.
So Jordan, when you look at the ACC, you look at how they struggled last week. Who can help this conference? Who can help this conference recover when it comes to
Clemson? I mean, they're still the gold standard, and DJ Uyunglele, Big Cinco, number 5, whatever you want to call him, QB1, he still hasn't looked the part with all these massive expectations on him. He was missing targets, didn't look very accurate week 1, and clearly in that matchup versus Georgia, one of the best defenses, he looked skittish at times. Him finding his comfort level, turning into the star we saw in those 2 starts a season ago is pivotal to the operation there. But there's some oscillatory teams that got a shot here. NC State is a team that has got a real tough battle in front of them going on right now in Stark Vegas. Mike Golick Jr. on the call, another shout out, a plug if you will, friend of the family here on the digital side of things. But NC State needs to take care of business there. Virginia Tech, after what they did against North Carolina, I think those are the 3 teams you look at early on. North Carolina, it's going to be an uphill climb for them. But there's still good football in this conference, and it absolutely starts with Clemson.
Who's surprised you the most so far?
Virginia Tech. It has to be Virginia Tech just because of it felt like people were talking about this program like it was in ruin, and that's clearly not the case. Coach Fuente is more than capable coach. He showed it in his first season a few years back when they won 10 games. The identity at Virginia Tech and Blacksburg, it's always got to be defense, and they've showed the ability to defend. As a matter of fact, they've led the way defensively. Braxton Burmeister has been refreshing for this team, an absolute playmaker. So within the conference, I'd have to look at Virginia Tech, who's now sitting 2-0, does have Notre Dame on the schedule, and a real opportunity there to make some noise. And again, going back to NC State, another team that has a chance to make some noise with Clemson on the schedule, and they're playing host to them. So there's an opportunity within this conference that for some reason, Harry and Fitzy, everybody gave up on in week 1, was still a lot of meaningful football and can really have heavy implications in the CFP.
Now, Jordan, I'll tell you, I am very high on this NC State team. I'm high on Dave Dern. I'm high offensively. They have a 2-back system. They have the receivers. They have the QB, Devin Leary. They have the guys on defense. What has surprised you with this NC State team so far this year?
The fact that nobody seems to be talking about this, I think it's not a surprise of what the team is, but the surprise of how they've been covered. This is second most talented roster in the ACC, and they don't get that coverage. And Harry, I'm glad you mentioned those running backs. Ricky Person and Bam Knight, that backfield is dynamic, dangerous, and we talked about North Carolina and celebrated that back duo a year ago. This could be that version this season there in Raleigh with NC State. And they got a nickname for the two, and that's what I love. They're calling themselves Craig and Day from Friday, if y'all remember. And I love Top Flight Security of the world, Craig. So these guys know they have something bottled special, but they're keeping their head down and working. Great balance on both sides. Defensively, Peyton Wilson might be the Defensive Player of the Year in the conference. So they've got skill and high-level talent at all the meaningful positions, and they've got a coach who's got them focused on the task at hand and not paying attention to the outside noise, because it was a historic year for the NC State a year ago. Conference wins, most in program history. And this might be the year where they achieve that.
Jordan, as always, my friend, you are the best. Nobody happier about the NC State love than Scotty McCreery. Big fan. All right, Jordan, have a great time. Enjoy the ACC network, brother.
Scotty McCreery is my guy. Have you heard his new song, Giving Love to North Carolina?
Yeah.
You got to hear that one.
I'm all into this. Jordan and I could talk country music all day. Harry, you can be part of that conversation.
I like country music. I lived in Nashville for 3 years.
All right,
so
let's... We've celebrated the good. Now it's time to celebrate the bad. Now, I don't mean bad like Harry Douglas is a bad man. No, I mean bad as in bad. And that's a much different version of bad. You with me so far? This is Bruh, delivered by Pizza Hut. We're going to show you some of the questionable moments today. Let's get this thing rolling with Georgia Tech's Jordan Dominic picking up the fumble, stiff-arming. He picks up the quarterback, stiff-arms Kennesaw State quarterback Xavier Shepherd.
Get out my way, you little pissant.
He's just going, I appreciate that. And then he's just throwing his own teammate.
Friendly fire. We call that friendly fire. Bruh, get out of my way. Bruh, get this little pissant out of my way.
This is how Harry Douglas feels every time we walk through the halls, because he's remarkably fast and I'm remarkably slow. Let's take a look at the next play on the Bruh list, and this is the Vols. Jeremy Banks just deciding he's going to go full WWE. You cannot suplex anybody.
Bruh, you cannot do that, and you know this. But not only that, though, Fitz, when Bruh did this, the next play, what happened, Fitz?
Oh, yeah. Let's, the next play after this, Pitt gets tricky with it. Lucas Kroll to Jared Wayne. What's that? That's called a touchdown.
See, bruh, when you make bad decisions, bad things happen to you. And guess what? Y'all lost the game by 7 points. So, bruh, how about you don't do anything that stupid next time?
Well, speaking of that, the best damn band in all the land had a moment to forget. Ohio State's marching band, by the way, incredible. I can't take anything away from their performance, but still, you got to be able to run out of it. Yeah.
Bruh, like I told my kids, stop running down that incline in the driveway because your forehead is going to be scraped up. Come on, bruh. You got to listen, man. You're going to get there. Take your time.
Look,
Patience is a virtue.
As the musician on this show, I'll tell you something. Know what you're good at, all right? Walk it. Don't run it. You're never going to work out that way. Let's go next. Alabama State quarterback Ryan Nettles throws a pass directly to Auburn's Roger McCreary.
Now, see, bruh, everybody's going to think this interception right here is on the quarterback. Nah, bruh. This interception is on the wide receiver not going to get his block. So, bruh, that's on you. And because of you, they have 6 points. The opposite team, that is Auburn. Come on, bruh. You got to do better next time. Understand your opponent. Understand the leverage so you can get the block so the play can be successful. Come on,
Harry
bruh.
Douglas fired up about the receivers. All right, we're all fired up about Ohio State. C.J. Stroud, Garrett Wilson for the 27-yard touchdown. Take a look at the Oregon defense, though. Harry was fired up about this. You don't know what's coming. You're looking at your wristbands. You don't even see the snap.
The players are probably saying, bruh, stop giving us all these calls and just make a call so we can go with it. The last time I seen this happened to LSU against Alabama when Stingley Jr. was looking at the sideline for the call. Coaches, come on, bruh. Let these guys just play the game.
At the end of the day, it's a learning opportunity because they still won. That is some bruh. Now I just want some pizza. You're looking at the big house. Tonight, Washington will face Michigan in primetime on ABC. Obviously, we want to get you ready for that. Molly McGrath is in Ann Arbor. She'll be this report.
Thanks, guys. You can see all the fans are starting to file into the big house. They've been tailgating all day long, so it should be a really rowdy crowd for tonight's game against Washington. And this Michigan team is coming off of a win last week, but they did lose their wide receiver and one of their best offensive players, Ronnie Bell. But we talked to their coordinators. Their offensive coordinator, Josh Gaddis, told us the two best players on their offensive side of the ball are Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins. They're two running backs, so they're going to continue to run the ball down people's throats, and that is their strength. And they're going back to some old school smash mouth football. That's like the Jim Harbaugh that we saw in the old days. So really excited to see their offense firing. And then for Washington, this is a team coming off of a really embarrassing loss last week to Montana. Jimmy Lake told me his team is pissed off. He likes the look in their eyes. They're ready for this game, so it should be a good one. I mean, we saw a Pac-12 team take down a Big Ten team earlier today in Oregon versus Ohio State, so who knows what's going to happen at the big house tonight. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Molly. As always, you're the best. And don't forget, if you're watching us right now in the app, you can just authenticate right now. You can stick in the app and watch. Just authenticate with your cable provider. You don't even have to go anywhere. It's the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Harry Douglas, I'm Jason Fitz. And Harry, there's a lot to this matchup. But one thing Molly just mentioned is Washington got embarrassed last week, right? So when you start looking at that Washington team losing to Montana, to a Big Sky program, how do you rebound from that?
Well, number one, you can't turn the football over. We talked about this all the time. To win football games, one of the main elements of the game is you got to take care of the football, and that's not what Washington did. They have a solid defense. They have guys that can play football on the defensive side of the ball. So just don't turn the football over, and I think you're going to be all right.
Yeah, one of the maybe back to Smash Mouth. You can see, by the way, Kate Otten right there just getting a little warm-up in, getting ready for this game. And, you know, Molly mentioning getting back to Smash Mouth, really running the ball. I hear, okay, great running backs. Michigan fans here, great, we still don't have a quarterback, right? Like there's some element of who is this Michigan team, right?
And I'll tell you, Ronnie Bell, their best receiver, went down. But last week, this Michigan football team offensively rushed for over 300 yards. So that is the recipe. Smash mouth football. That's what Jim Harbaugh wants to do. That's what he did in the NFL. That's what he's trying to bring to this Michigan program. So lean on these running backs. You have three of those guys who can get the job done. They did it last week. Let's say they'll do it again this week against Washington.
Well, and then you have some sort of a mindset about where Michigan is. Like, you're not paying Harbaugh and Michigan expectations. I don't even want to go to pay. Michigan expectations as a brand are not to be a middle-of-the-road program. That's sort of where they are. Like, they're pretty good, but they're nowhere near the top of the echelon, right?
And I'll tell you this, sometimes it's okay to take a piece of that humble pie. And I think Jim Harbaugh and this Michigan program have eaten this humble pie the last 2 or 3 years, right? So now I think they're coming into this season with a different mindset. Okay, let's thumb down a little bit. Let's look in the mirror. Let's self-reflect. Let's see how we can be better as a program. Let's see how I can be better as a coach. How can I play to my players' strengths so we can be the best version of ourselves on Saturdays?
Cade McNamara warming up right there. And I just think it's important to note for everybody, there's nothing wrong with being a 9-win, 10-win team, right?
No, it's just not acceptable for Michigan.
That's the whole portion of this. Like, Michigan wants to be in a different part of the conversation. And in order to do that, they're going to have to beat Ohio State. And right now, most of the time we would say that Ohio State's in a different stratosphere, but then we've seen Ohio State. I mean, you just mentioned Michigan can run.
Yeah.
Ohio State can't stop the run for anything. So maybe we've overthought all this, and it's going to be closer than we think. Speaking of closer than we think, where are you on this matchup? Let's get some picks in. Harry, you can pick first.
I'm going to go with Michigan because I believe in their run game. I believe in the philosophy of what they want to do tonight. They want to grind that ball. They want to run that football. They want to eat up that clock. They want to take a lot of pressure off McNamara so he can not lose the game for them. They're going to lean on these running backs tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to take Michigan in this game too, but it's not just about Michigan. To me, it's largely about Washington. I mean, you mentioned the lack of Washington's ability to take care of the ball and really, frankly, make plays. You could say that Washington was looking over, but I feel like Michigan has a better edge this year than they're getting credit for. Again, I don't team. I just think Michigan fans want more than that.
And look for a guy at the end position, Hutchinson. I'm looking forward to him. The bright lights, the big stage. Look for him to have a big game tonight against Washington.
Again, all you have to do is authenticate, sign into your cable provider, and you can stick around right here. Washington versus Michigan tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can stream it live in the ESPN app. You can also, of course, watch it on ABC. All right, let's get you back to one of the biggest games of the day, and it's Iowa State. Third quarter here. Justin Jacobs forces the Breece Hall fumble. Jack Campbell with the scoop and score. Scoop, there it is. Oh! Iowa goes up 21-10, and I got to show my sweet, sweet flow. Later, 44 seconds left in the third, 2nd and 8. Brock Purdy's pass is tipped. Matt Hankins gets his second interception of the day. Iowa leads 27-10. And, you know, I don't want to ever oversimplify, Harry, but you said it earlier. Stars need to be stars, especially in the biggest games. We're now looking at a game that's 27-17 with 3:27 to go. Right now, you can check that game out on ABC. And, Harry, to the point you made earlier, little mistakes by guys like Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, those amplify when you're talking about this game.
Well, that, and you look at third downs for Iowa State. They have not been good. They turned the football over. Brock Purdy has 3 interceptions. Breece Hall had a fumble that led to a touchdown. You're not going to win like that. That's not a winning recipe for the game of football. Definitely not what Matt Campbell expects of his players, guys that he's leaning on to be leaders for this team and make plays, and guys that people are hoping to count on week in and week out. But I said this earlier. Iowa, they are not going to beat themselves. Right? They capitalize on the turnovers. They played sound football. They might not be the fastest. They might not be the most athletic, but they play team football, and it's showing right now tonight.
Let me also say, though, maybe it's time to reassess where we were on Iowa. Because most of us were wrong last week about Iowa taking on Indiana. And then, you know, I picked Iowa this week, so maybe I got a little ahead of it. But realistically, this is an Iowa team that's been underestimated 2 weeks in a row. And this is an Iowa team that now 2 weeks in a row has shown up. There's still football to be played there. But if Iowa comes out of this 2-0, at some point, maybe we need to credit them.
Well, when we look at this Big Ten picture, I think one of the things Ohio State is cheering for right now, because they lost today, is for a team like Iowa to go undefeated, and they can possibly meet those guys in the Big Ten championship. So I know Ohio State, you never want to count on anybody. You always want to handle your own business. But I know right now Ohio State is probably counting on Iowa to go undefeated until they meet those guys in the Big Ten championship game. If Ohio State makes it, if they can beat Michigan, because I like Michigan's run game, and Ohio State cannot stop the run right now.
Well, and again, we'll keep you updated. A big stop on third down for Iowa State. Iowa's now going to be forced to punt. They are up by 10, 3.5 left in the game. We'll keep you updated as we figure out what the rest of that game looks like. All right, it's time to drop in. Take a look at some of the craziest, most twisted plays from week 2, presented by Twisted Tea. Are you ready for this, Harry Douglas?
Let's go.
Let's get twisted and we start. What's better than a moo-moo? Nothing. But Chad Muma, pretty close. Look at this. Muma with the pick six of Rocky Lamar.
Who said linebackers can't catch? Fitz? Shout out to the linebackers out there making plays like this young man right here.
I also like the spring, the hop in his step, the bunny rabbit jump there, all of the above. Good play by him. Let's take a look at the next play on the list. This is David Bell. Look, a great play against UConn is nothing unusual, but look at this here.
Oh, come here.
He's running.
Oh,
Nope.
come here.
Nope. I'm staying up.
My guy's faster than your guy. Touchdown.
Look at that.
David
Purdue,
Bell.
not just a school for engineers, also a school for really fast players.
One of the best wide receivers in the Big Ten, David Bell, being coached by Jeff Brom, who was my quarterback coach while I was at Louisville.
Oh, God. Leave it to Harry Douglas to get Louisville in. Let's go to the next play. Jake Bentley. Bentley here. He's going to drop back. He's going to throw the ball, I promise. And when he does, bad things are going to happen.
Another
Oh!
linebacker. What a day it's been. Another pick six.
Darren
the
Anders.
first 2 weeks of the season. How many pick sixes have we seen? You cannot win like that.
I can't see the name Anders and not think of Anders from Workaholics, but that's just me. All right, and while we're taking a look at great plays, how about this? Quarterback, Buffalo quarterback Kyle Van Treese decides, you know what's better than throwing the ball?
Oh, my goodness.
Kicking it. 81-yard punt.
My goodness.
Ends up being a touchback, though.
But hold on, wait a minute, Fitz. Is he playing the right position? Is he positioned wrong? Should he be the punter?
I mean, maybe you just do double duty. Maybe the NFL's going to come calling for him at this point.
Hey, the more you can do, the more you're going to stay around. I think he's positioned wrong, though.
The more you know, that is some twisted plays. Those are some twisted plays either way.
I like him. Guys making plays, week 2.
Speaking of guys making plays, it's time for Best Plays, brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Gonna get you some of the best action from today. Pitt, linebacker Baldonado makes an all-out effort on this play. Beats his man, forces the fumble, recovers the ball all in one play. That's big man athlete.
Defensive coordinators teach, go after that ball. Ball security is terrible by Hendon Hooker, the quarterback for Tennessee. Good job, man.
Little things made a big difference in that Pitt win, too. So that's a regrettable moment. Next up, Wake Forest getting a little interception here. Look at Carson read this thing perfectly. Come over and say, that's my ball and I want it.
Ooh, he was a thief. You read the quarterback's eyes and you go make the play.
Yeah, I love seeing that level of athleticism coming across, too. Just fingertipping it with those sticky gloves. It's all about the gloves. Next up on this one, Miami of Ohio's quarterback Brett Gabbert throws a 33-yard touchdown pass.
Ooh.
Touchdown pass to Mac Hippenhammer. Look at the snag. Plus, I got to say Hippenhammer. Fun name.
It's all about catching the football at the highest points. Look at the highest point. Go get that thing. Touchdown.
Spoken from a 6'6" receiver that's standing next to me. Now I'm just being.
we have jokes
I got
tonight.
jokes all day long. I got jokes. All right. In the meantime, we want to make sure that we give this game some love, especially today. Air Force taking on Navy. You got Brad Roberts finding the end zone for a 1-yard rushing touchdown. Air Force goes up 7-3. Later, 41 seconds left in the third. Daniels finds a hole and runs for 28 yards on this touchdown. Look at the great vision in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see it here on the replay. He's got it. And then he says, nope. I see my lane. I'm going to take my lane.
That triple option is hard to defend.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. And then we pick this up in the fourth. Brad Roberts finds a hole in the end zone. Air Force wins 23-3. Obviously, there are more important things on a day like today than football, and it's incredible on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 to see Air Force and Navy take each other on. There are no losers in this game, and we both want to take a moment to thank everybody for the service and sacrifice that was involved in an important day like today. Again, it's bigger than football on 9/11, and we want to make sure that we tip our hats to everybody that was involved in that game and everybody today with the memories that we all share. In the meantime, no easy way to segue back to sports, but we will do that as we keep you updated on all the action that's going on. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. Iowa State is coming down to the wire. Obviously, that's going to be a fun one, but we know at this point 27-17 is the score. Iowa State with the ball. You can check out the ending of that one on ABC. In the meantime, check out Michigan taking on Washington. I'm just putting school names anywhere. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. Takes a bunch of people behind the scenes that do great great work to make this show happen. Check us out every single week. It's a college football show presented by AT&T 5G. Stick around in the app. You can watch Washington take on Michigan right there. Harry, any closing thought?
Week 2.
Yeah, that's the sort of analysis you only get from Harry Douglas. Let's just shimmy our way out of there. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We genuinely appreciate you on this important day.